like prime corn for deer to feed in, huh? It's the day before Iowa's opener, and Ted and I are going out to just kind of cruise around, check out some spots that we potentially might hunt tomorrow. Got a few ideas in mind, but we're just gonna go around a few of those areas, look at the crops, see if we can see some deer feeding, maybe check some access points, just kind of peek at things a little bit. We've been away in Minnesota, just got back last night, pretty late, so we think doing this is important. Generally, we would be doing it well before season, but like I said, we've been gone, so we're gonna just make a quick sweep here, try to cover as much ground as we can in the daylight. Just gonna get out and get after it out here. Gonna try to learn some stuff, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it, Ted. That's a good sign. He doesn't care. He's pushing those does around 6:15 p.m. Might even seen that buck over across the road last year. Looks very, very similar, doing the same exact thing. He's gonna be right here, Ted. You might. All right, the other thing that we're doing is we're going into this spot is we're looking at these pin oaks. There's a lot of pin oaks down through here. When the oaks in this area are dropping those little pin oak acorns, the deer kind of transition to one specific bedding area back in here. And those are the areas that we're targeting tomorrow. They're gonna be the areas with corn and pin oaks or white oaks. Both of the spots that we got in mind have a lot of pin oaks on them. Let's go see some bucks. So dark, but it'll get dark and then it'll get clear again.
Mm-hmm.
See him? I mean, he's right there. No, I see. I'm looking at. He's not caring about us. We'll see you, guy. I mean, he's going right into that spot. He's coming right from that spot. I've always thought. Can't believe I've never seen a decent buck coming out of here. It's like I killed that one right in there. That's the first decent buck I've ever seen right there.
Sorry. There's a deer.
Oh, that's a huge one, dude. I was gonna say it looks huge. Oh, that's a huge one, Ted. Said I knew where that other one was bedded. Oh, that's a brute, man.
His body is humongous.
It's bigger than that other one. How about that? I think we can go home now. Oh, doggy! Oh. I think our decision has been made for us. I was just telling Ted that I thought we could get in there closer to that buck that we saw there when we came through earlier. And this area back here we actually scouted a couple years ago, and when we scouted it, it was standing corn, and we had a pretty good idea of where we thought the deer were bedding. Since then, it hasn't been standing corn. The reason that spot, I think, is a little bit better than some of the other areas and why there's such a high concentration of deer right there is you've got corn, oaks, alfalfa. We're gonna have to get back and look at the map. I'm not saying we're even gonna see that deer in the morning, but we feel like we got a darn good chance. I mean, Ted and I are feeling pretty giddy right now because there's a really good chance we got that buck pinned down where he's bedded. It's the morning of October 1st, opening day of archery season here in Iowa. Ted and I are pretty excited this morning. We feel like we got a pretty good plan. going in after these bucks that we saw last night. Those bucks are coming out of public land, right out of a bedding area that we've scouted in the past. We scouted it a couple years ago, and we scouted it this summer, so we got a really good idea of where that buck is going to be in the next couple weeks. We're going to get in here and get aggressive on him this morning, just because he's so close to the access. That bedding area can be really hot, but it's been a couple years since we've seen it with that many deer coming out of it in the evening. It's got all the right habitat things that they need. It's got standing corn, alfalfa, oaks, river bottom browse, CRP. It's just got the perfect mix of all things back in there, and that's why we were targeting that area last night when we started driving around. It's also why we went in there and scouted it this summer, but now that we know there's bucks in there, we got a ton of confidence. There's a specific spot that we've got in mind that we're going to try to get to, so we're just going to have to go slow, kind of scouting our way in there. And that's kind of the nice thing about setting up on the ground. If we see a really good trail with a scrape on it or something that we want to get close to, with those ghillie suits, we got a lot more options than if we're trying to get into a tree stand. So we're going to slip in here, and hopefully we're right in the grill of all these bucks. That's not what we wanted to have happen. Well, we got in here, and we're about 200 yards from where we wanted to be. And down in this bottom, there's just deer everywhere. Something heard us and started blowing, but they're all still just standing there. I can see their eyes about 200 yards away. But I think what we're going to have to do is duck up under one of these pin oak trees. Just set up and kind of observe. And as the morning goes on, hopefully we can creep closer to where we see all the deer going to. Don't know if I want to really run right into all these deer. Not sure what they are, but there's at least 5 or 6 deer out here in front of us within 150, 200 yards. So it's disappointing, but a lot of times I feel like we can get in there before them, but not today. It's about 7:20. Ted and I watched a couple deer, I think 3 does, kind of filter back this way. So now we're going to swing up and around this cornfield, try to sneak right on the other side of that bedding area. Don't think we're going to affect much, but we're going to be really close to that bedding area. Well, we started coming up here towards this bedding area where we wanted to set up this morning. We got here and there's a fresh stand and a fresh trail camera up there with a fresh mock scrape. He's matted this whole area out right here. To be honest, this guy is probably going to help our cause run further back in there. He came in here in the last few days and hung this stand. I'm not saying that he can't kill a deer here in the next few days, but I would say chances are those mature bucks have come through here, smelled where he walked around, and then have pushed further back in there. That's likely why we saw him going out towards the private land once it got dark. That's the thing about hunting in stands and permanent sets. When you come in here and you put a stand in, all those deer can smell this. And if the deer come in here to feed on the acorns that have been dropping from the pin oak that this stand is in, they're clearly going to smell that person. Not going to make the deer leave the area,
but they could just be up there another 150 yards and may never even come down into this area. I firmly believe that deer know about permanent stands. I really do. I think that they walk through in a spot like this, they get the scent, they've seen a stand before, they recognize that things have changed in this area, and then the mature bucks, I think, tend to avoid those areas. The camera is probably going to have that big buck that we saw last night on it, but he's probably going to be there in the dark. Ted and I are kind of torn. We got bad weather tonight. We may or may not be able to get out. If we can, I think we got a really good chance of swinging around and killing one of these bucks. But if we bail, then we got no chance, especially if it rains all night. So I hate waiting around. Man, that bugs the heck out of me. We know there's a buck in here. And just waiting around for ideal conditions, you never know who's going to come in here, squirrel hunting, deer hunting, bumping the whole thing out. These patterns are finicky this time of the year, and I'd rather be the one to mess it up than let somebody else mess it up.
Well, we're 4 minutes from the potential thunderstorms, Ted. Oh, guys, here we are. It's about 75 degrees. We've got these things on our backs. We've also got the ghillies, and we're prepped for sitting on the ground or the stand. We're going right back into the same area where we saw that big buck last night, but we ended up going up there, finding that stand, and realizing that we definitely need to go a little bit deeper back. But we're gonna swing all the way around the bedding area through the standing corn, and once we get in there, we think that we're gonna be really, really close to these deer. At the very most, they're gonna be 150 yards from us. Storms are rolling in. We got a dry bag for the camera. I'm already tired of carrying this stand, and we're not even away from the truck yet.
When's the last time you carried a stand?
I think November 12th last year. I think it was November 12th, the day before I shot that buck last year. I swore I was never doing it again. Here I am. In this spot, there's a little bit too much tall grass from what I remember when we scouted it, and there's a tree that's going to allow us to get up just high enough to be able to shoot down in there. We're trying it. We got both options. Not really sure which one we're going to use, but we're going to give it a shot.
Well, we're in a tree. Ted and I climbed about 6.5 feet off the ground. But we actually got to a really sweet spot. It seems sweet. It's a lot thicker back in here than when we scouted it. A couple years ago was the last time that Aaron and I were actually in this spot. Back then it was just straight CRP. I can't really see it. It's a little bit too tall a grass, but I'm assuming there's a trail right out here about 20 yards in front of us. It goes right up towards that standing corn. And right across from where we're set up in the other draw, there's even more pin oaks over there. And really all of it kind of comes together and is all kind of tucked away right back in here. We're about 150, maybe 200 yards from where that buck was last night. And I'm guessing we're anywhere from 150 yards to maybe 40 yards from where this thing's bedded. We didn't make hardly any noise setting these stands up because we did it so low. And that's something I would highly recommend, especially early season if you've got the opportunity for it. A lot of people are wanting to get super high up in the tree stand, but one of the reasons that I started hunting on the ground more is I like that shot angle. If you get up too high, you can lose a lot of kill zone because your angle is so high shooting down at the deer. While we're low like this, it's almost like we're shooting at eye level. On the way in, there's tons of buck sign. There's a lot of deer back in here right now. So we're just gonna hang loose here. Maybe stir things up, maybe do a little bit of grunting there towards dark, but should be a fun set. Hopefully we at least see a deer. Right there he is, right there. That buck just stood up. A big 8-pointer from last night just stood up like 60 yards from us. Last I saw, he kind of trotted back to the right. I don't know if he caught wind or if he saw movement or what exactly happened, but he was right there. I mean, we set up right on top of him. I'd say there's still a chance he could come back through, or another one of these bucks that's back here, but tough to say what happened. Well, we're getting close to the end here, and since that buck worked off, we haven't really seen anything from movement or heard anything. But the plan almost worked. He was right up in there, right where we expected him to be. Just went the wrong direction. Even early season on warm days like this, you can get in there and get tight to these bucks, and you're still going to catch good movement around the bedding area. But it almost panned out. Just going to have to get back to the drawing board and try to figure out how to come in here. I really think you could get a good chance at him right up there where he was. We'll be back. Thanks for watching. It was a lot of fun. Opening day. Never had an opening day where I've seen a shooter, I don't think. It's a pretty good feeling. Makes you feel confident for the rest of the season. Hopefully, this is a good sign of a lot of good encounters here the rest of October.